In this video, we experienced the slowest car in daily race A, as well as experienced the fastest car that can actually compete with the Porsche 911. Hello everyone, and welcome back to a Gran Turismo video here where we're looking at Special Stage Route X, believe it or not. So Special Stage Route X is the new daily race A. However, also what's new are the cars that have been raced here. So normally we've got a set number of cars that we've used continuously for quite a while. There have been tweaks here and there, and they were fairly balanced in the end. There were some offshoots that didn't really work. However, most of the cars could work in some way. Well, we've got 12 new cars at this time, featuring the brand new car as well, the R34 Z-Tune. The question is, which ones are the best cars? Now, the Porsche is leading on the leaderboard, and you saw in the weekly race guide as well, the Porsche was looking very strong indeed. But are there any competitors that really work against the Porsche? Are there any cars which are just so wrong that you really should avoid them at all costs? That's the point of this video. So we're going to go in reverse order, starting with the worst car, going towards the best car. This is, of course, my own opinion based on my performance in the race and how the car handles itself in the race versus that Porsche. So without further ado, let's start off with the worst car for daily race A. So here we are with the worst car. It's a Mitsubishi, I can't even speak, Mitsubishi GTO. There we go. Now, first of all, look at this at the rolling start. The Mitsubishi GTO starts further back than all the other cars, and you'll see this all of the time. But the key problem with this car is the gear changes. As you see in the Porsche, the Aventador's flying by there. Every time you change gear, it doesn't go into the power band until a little bit later on. Then we end up in the power band. We jump later on in the race here, and we're going to look at a big old crash on the back straight. You see them going absolutely flying everywhere here. Common thing to happen there just because everyone is so close together. The servers are not the best at the moment, so there's a little bit of jinking going on there with the cars and a big old crash. But we are still stuck here, miles off the pace here, miles off the crash as well. We eventually catch up to the Porsche. We give them a big old bump draft, and we're going to see if we can keep up in terms of speed. And we can slowly get there. The issue here with the GTO is you can't actually get up to speed because you lose the slipstream by the time you even get remotely close. So you can see here the GTO not worth using at all, the worst car. And you see there we do get hit. I believe they actually hit pause there, and it was the AI that did that. So very frustrating moment for me there, but definitely do not use this car. It's absolutely horrendous, this GTO twin turbo. I was hoping it would reminisce back to the old Gran Turismo 1 days where you had a 1,000 horsepower GTO. Not the case here. We came home in P10 after all the crashing, etc. It is what it is. Next up then, in 11th place, I put the Toyota Supra. A bit weird because these are next to each other on the car selection choice. But with this one here, you can see we're still struggling with acceleration. Not quite as bad as the Mitsubishi GTO. However, the Porsche's flown by, the Chiron's flown by. We've got a bit of a gap here because I think someone's in the GTO behind. So we can settle down a little bit. We've got another car coming up close now that looks like a Porsche. They go for the move around the outside. And again, it's this whole acceleration side. It doesn't feel very tested here with some of these cars. Once again, a Porsche goes by and another one. And here comes another Porsche. I'm trying to stay in that slipstream. I can't move fully over there because there's a Porsche already there. We're falling behind the Finnish driver then. And a few cars are definitely dropped off the pace here. Now look at this. So we're catching up to the Porsche who's been involved in a little incident here. Watch this. So we get to 280 miles an hour going down the hill. But we get to this point here and we stop gaining. So this car cannot win against the Porsche. We're in the slipstream and we're not able to catch up, and the Porsche is going to start slowly going away from me. So yeah, significantly a big problem there. And I've jumped further ahead here then, and this is on the banking, and you can see that another big old crash just with the slight bumps there on the oval. That's a very common thing to happen here on this first turn. And you can see that the French driver has crashed. You're going to see me whiz on by in a second. As well as one car going by. We'll eventually go by. There we are. Happy days in the red Supra. We get towards the end of the race then. So once again, a car that is not good here. It cannot win this race, the Toyota Supra. So it's down in 11th place right now in terms of where I position the car in this racing selection choice. What we're going to do next then is jump to the next car, which is going to be the 10th in terms of results of cars, P10, and a car I also wouldn't pick, which is the 400R. Now, again, we're going along in the selection process here, and it felt very much like they went with started off with a car, forgot they tuned it in a certain way, went with the Supra, then forgot again. Now, we've got a bit of a bump draft there from the car behind. I appreciate that. And we are accelerating that little bit quicker here in this Nissan 400R. You can see that right now. We are holding up some of the field here. We are losing a little bit to the pack ahead, but critically, we get up to that speed rate much more quicker than the Toyota Supra and the Mitsubishi GTO twin turbo. But now we have B Racing behind, one of the world champions of the Gran Turismo World Series. Give me a bump draft in the Ferrari 812 Superfast. Now we'll be testing that car a little bit later on. Of course, in terms of all these cars, you can check out the timestamps down below to jump to the car in question where you go, ooh, I quite fancy the Audi R8, for example. You can jump to that one and see how it does. So we're going to continue on here. We are being bump drafted, but the Porsches and Chiron are losing us here. The Ferrari is struggling to keep up with the 400R, but I do feel like the Ferrari has a bit more here. Big old crash there. We take avoiding action, and that was very good avoiding action, if I do say so myself. We're about to pass the Lord deadline here, so we're about to go into P8. Again, we don't just focus on the results here with these tests. We look at whether the car can maintain around that 280 miles an hour speed, and this car can't. It can't. It struggles to get there. You can see the Porsche here catching up once again. B-Racer very close. Going to go towards my left-hand side then. The Porsche gets in my slipstream. They're going to go towards the right side here as we head towards the line. Very close finish here. Good race all the same there with B-Racer. I appreciate that one. And we came home in P8 in the end in that 400R. But for me, that car can also not win here. So that's why it's currently in 10th place. We go to 9th place, then we're in the R35 GTR. Again, we're in the order of selection at the moment. So with this one, we've got no wing on this GTR. And once again, we're accelerating away here. So we are keeping up a bit more, even more so than the 400R in terms of acceleration. The Aventador there give me a bit of a bump draft there from Flexi as we have a Porsche coming along my right-hand side there of Luke Nodero there as we're going to pull in. Oh, no, we were about to pull in and Flexi came out of nowhere there. Must have had a bit of a bump draft. So we're trying to stay in this slipstream now, and we are staying in it. So you can see here, this is why this is a little bit better than that 400R. It can stay in this pack a little bit better than the previous car so far, which is why it is currently in this position. So we're going to stay in the slipstream now, but look at this. We're losing out to the cars ahead. So it is significant here. We are losing out in terms of the Porsche, so we would struggle to win here. We are staying in the pack, though, at least, which is always good. Luke Darrow there getting a 2-second penalty for I have no idea what there. But we're going to head down here. We are hitting that 280 mile an hour range, which is good as we go onto the banking. Then we go onto this camera. Lewis on our inside there as we're staying on the outside line right now. A little bit of a touch there with Krenverse, and that does send me spinning here in the R35. But we are still struggling versus the Porsches and Chirons there. We're not keeping up, really. We are keeping up much better than the previous cars, but it's still not there. So this is a car I also wouldn't pick in terms of racing, because when we get to that 280 mile an hour spot, it just struggles. It really does struggle there. 253 across the line is not quick enough, is what I will say there. Let's jump to the next car then, and we're going to go in the Z-Tune, which is currently 8th overall in terms of selection. This is where we start getting into the places where you might have a chance, but it's a very much outside chance. Let's see what happens here then. So we've got, what's that behind us? That's a Ferrari, it looks like. Going to give us a bit of a bump draft here. We've got a Porsche then coming alongside them very quickly. Going to give me some bump drafting. Cheers, Flexi. I appreciate that. And we are in the slipstream, and we're already up to speed as well here. So it's looking quite good with this R34 Z-Tune car then. So again, this is where I do feel like this car can compete a little bit. It's why it's currently 8th in the standings right now. We are in this pack, and we are actually fighting. So for the first time today, we are fighting in terms of car choice. Everyone's a bit all over the place here. Someone comes alongside there on the right-hand side. We're going to go to chase cam here. You can see a little bit of contact up ahead. And see, that's just a server there. Little tweaks here and there outside of your lanes. And then somebody comes back across, pushes the Chiron into me, and I go absolutely flying in this R34. We're not having a good time here, are we, at the moment? That's 2 crashes in a row. However, this car, I do feel, has an outside chance of winning. Here we go against the Challenger. You can see there, we've caught up there. We're going to go for a bit of bump drafting with the German driver. I'm not going to try and pronounce that name in case YouTube goes, haha, did you saying something funky? I'm certainly not. But you can see here we are keeping up. So this R34 definitely does have a chance, in my opinion, at winning. An outside chance all the same, but it's definitely much closer than the previous cars. And you can see here we can bump draft. We're not getting to 280 miles an hour. We do need a little bit more help than the Challenger Demon there that we've got up ahead, and we'll be experiencing that car later on. Lord Deadline there, having a few issues on the final part of the banking here. What we'll do is head towards the line then, and we are racing that Challenger who's on the left-hand side. They do have the penalty, though. So they take that penalty. We're coming home in P13, all said and done then. So again, this car can compete here in the grand scheme of it. Right, next up then, what we're going to do is we're going to jump to the Corvette ZR-1 here, which is currently 7th overall in the rankings. Let's kick off this one here then. We're right behind Javier then in that R34 GTR. Now, because I've lowered that ranking, it's definitely lower in the list in my opinion. I've actually put this Corvette here right now. So this Corvette is quicker at accelerating. It does mean we can keep up with the Porsche that bit longer here. We head towards the first banking straight off the bat. We're nearly at 280 miles an hour. We are competing. We've got Chiron on the outside. The group in the far lead here doing a lot of teamwork there. And Luke Darrow's in that one. We've got Schumi, we've got Deadline, who we saw earlier on in this one. But we can hit the 280 miles an hour mark. We've gone to the end of the race here because we just had a good race with no speed there. And we could keep up with the pack ahead. I think if we were a bit closer, we definitely would have had a good one there. But the R34 created a bit too much of a gap there. ZR1, for me, can compete for the race victory. But again, it's another outside chance along with that R34. I think it's a bit better than the R34. Certainly very stable on the oval. We go to the Ferrari 812 Superfast then, which we did see earlier on with B-Racer in the car. Now this car, well, look at this, the GTO, there's that big gap that I talked about earlier on. I don't know what they've done with that car, but they really need to review what they've done with it because it is uncompetitive, that GTO. 812 Superfast, so initially we're going to struggle to catch up here because of that large gap that was created due to the GTO, but we're in the 280 mile an hour range. The critical problem with this car is it can't maintain the highest speed range here. We've gone to chase cam then as we go through here. There's a slight tap there from the Italian, but the Italian had a slight tap from there, from somebody else on their left-hand side, so it is what it is. He's on there with a 4-second penalty. The thing with this car, it can get up to around 255 miles an hour on its own, but it just struggles then to maintain 280 miles an hour. It just starts to come back down there, and that is the issue with this car. However, it is competitive, just on the outside chance though, so it's very much similar to the ZR1 and the R34 Skyline Z-Tune. We go to 5th place now. This is where we get to the real contenders, okay? So we're in the Lamborghini Aventador. So we've got more of the race to watch this time because we are very much in there now. You can see here we're keeping up with the Porsche 911 in terms of acceleration. Same with the Challenger Demon up ahead. Nice little bump draft there from No Speed. A shout out to you as well. You said hello, No Speed, said you're a fan, so nice to see you in the lobby. And it was a great race on the previous race as well, where we just worked together the entire way around, and then you beat me to the start-finish line there. So we are working together once again here to try and catch up to the lead pack. So we are now continuing on here. We're in 3rd place and we drop a little bit to 4th place. We are racing cars to our right-hand side there though. So it shows you this car is competitive. Straight away, this car can compete here to our first actual competitive car, which can win the race in my opinion. As we go towards the right-hand side, I will explain why it's currently in this position though and not further up shortly. And we'll see that with some of the other cars there. But critically, Porsche 911's there, the Challenger's there. Looking good so far. And you're probably going, Tid, where is the Challenger? Well, it's coming up, isn't it? The Chiron there as well. We've not seen the Chiron yet, but we have lost out a little bit there. We did fall out of that slipstream train, but we're still in it as we approach the oval then, and we are still in with a fight here, 1 second off that lead. Now, one of the problems I find with the Aventador is it's very bouncy on the oval. It really is. So unless you're using stability management, you may suffer some oversteer there. We do get past the Chiron though, and we're still in this fight. Javier there in the Challenger is looking like they slowed down a little bit here. We go for Baby Shum there in terms of slipstream. That's because of a previous race where we saw them doing very well. As we continue on with this slipstream train, we'll fast forward a little bit more here, and you can see there we're just trying to get into the line now ready. Oh, Marshmallow, a 5-second penalty for Marshmallow. We go towards the right side of that Challenger Demon, trying to gain full advantage here. Notice there the 280 mile an hour, very much staying there now. Where the Ferrari, it did drop down under 280. This is very much staying there. This is why this car is now ahead of that car. We're going to approach the oval. This is what a car has to do to actually have a chance of winning versus the Porsche. We're going to stick towards the inside here then. Once again, it's going to get a little bit unstable here as we approach sort of the banking, but we do want to bump draft the cars up ahead to try and get this race victory. And you can see we have this opportunity for this race victory then as we go on the inside line then. Car staying on the outside. I think the inside line's better for the finish, but let's see what happens here. Notice there the wiggle of the car a little bit, and another wiggle of the car. It did force some oversteer, and I'm into the barrier then, and that is going to cost me the chance of a race victory. But you could see there is a chance that as somebody goes flying to the barrier. Very common thing to happen with this race as Nawaf goes by there in the other Aventador. We do get a place from Marshmallow then as we cross the line. So this is a good car in my opinion, the Aventador. It does work out. You just be careful of those bumps because it can send it off quite quickly. So we go to 4th then, the Audi R8. Now this is where I wasn't sure where to place this car because for me it's quite a good car. Look at the acceleration of this car as we avoid somebody who was AFK there. Versus the Porsche, the Audi R8 is quicker getting towards that top speed. Very critical here because if you've got 3 Audi R8s at the front, there's a possibility they could pull away from the Porsches. There is a possibility. Very hard to do, but if you have some great teamwork, there is a chance there. So this Audi R8 very much in with a shot as we're seeing right now. Look at this big bump drafting going on here. Very much getting towards that top speed very quickly. Already into the 250 mile an hour range then. as we get ready to do some bump drafting. Head over towards the left hand side. I can't join that train. They come back to me, which is very nice of them, and now we can try some bump drafting. A little bit of a wiggle there. That's server issues as well. We're going to follow Luke Nadero here then, who's a part of the server, part of Digits community as well. So you can check out Digits website and YouTube channel, of course. As we go on to the banking here, we go on the outside line. I did recommend this on the weekly race guide. I still think this is a good line to take. Yes, it's a bit risky. In terms of you might get planted into the barrier. However, I feel it's a bit more stable for some of the MR cars as well, because you don't have the bumps and the weird banking changing that you happen on the inside line. Notice here we are still keeping up with these Porsche 911s. Very much you can get the race victory with this Audi R8 as we're about to come off the banking. Then we give Gian there a bit of a bump draft. And their survey, we've not seen survey in a while. I've seen a few familiar names. We've got F1 Slayers behind us there as well. Shout out to you. F1 Slayers streams on Twitch. So Lewis is currently leading the way. So I get into this slipstream train on the left-hand side then as we head towards the final banking. So this is where it gets strategic then. We're going to get on the inside. So I talked about this earlier on. The inside line for me is better as you go through here. You can see there those two have been helping each other. Now I'm in that slipstream. I can get on the inside of Lewis and potentially go for the race victory here. That is my challenge here. Can I do it? That's the question. We've got another Porsche coming along here as we continue on. We've got Chiron going towards the right-hand side. Look at this. We're 4 wide here. Little tap there from somebody. Oh, it all gets a bit wiggly and we've been pitted into the pits. However, I do believe that was a mistake looking at that replay. However, we'll very well, you can see here the Audi is very, very competitive here and it's currently 4th place, which does mean the next 3 cars are also very competitive. Oh, sorry, the next 2 cars, because the Porsche 911, of course, is number 1 based on our experience. So we go to 3rd place then, the Bugatti Chiron. I think this is a very good car. Now, I've placed this above the Audi R8 for one reason only. It's bump drafting capabilities. You have the ability here to bump draft better than any of the other cars, especially going downhill. It feels like the weight helps it massively. So we're going to get behind Heisenberger here, who's, I assume he's playing in VR with their name in VR. I don't know though. We've got Mad Matthew on the right hand side. Nice to see you here as well. And we're going to continue on. So this is the bit where it really does benefit. So notice here we were Chiron on a Porsche versus 2 Porsches. And we've accelerated away from the cars on the right hand side, which is why I've placed this higher than the Audi R8. Because the Audi R8, it was even with the Porsche. We've got 2 more, a pair coming along the further right hand side here then. So we are going to drop down a little bit then. They've had better momentum going through here as we approach the banking here for the first time. And we're going to go around here then. So I'm going to keep towards that left hand side on the outside line here. And you see everyone on the inside right now. But we're still in the thick of the action. There's Alba4. Hello to you. It was nice that you said hello in chat as well. It's been a long time since I've raced you. As we continue on through here, just trying to keep it nice and steady. One thing I would say here when you are on or in this oval racing, it's all about trying to keep in your lane and just keep an eye on the radar as well. So notice I came down there, but it was very gentle. If you do extreme moves there, you're going to have some issues here. 280 miles an hour there. Notice that we are maintaining that in the Chiron, so very easy to do in the Chiron. It does carry its speed very nicely, which is why as well it is also in 3rd place. And so you could probably guess what is in P2 because we've not seen it yet, and we know what's in P1 because I've already mentioned it. As we continue in towards this banking, and we're on the inside of that Chiron right now. I do feel like this is the best place for most cars here as we continue on through. Then as we head towards the line, everyone keeping it nice and clean then as we get there, and it looks like we're coming home in P11, but it's still a fantastic race there. What's that, half a second separating the entire field? Really well raced to absolutely everybody in that one. But the Chiron looking very strong here, and I've shown that right there. We're maintaining 280 miles an hour. So I've put the Challenger here in P2. Now, some of you will question this. I think the top 4 can be switched around relatively easy here. But the Challenger I've put here, due to the fact it can maintain 280 miles an hour so well. It really can. Arguably a little bit better than the Chiron, in my opinion. Its acceleration as well, looking very good here. As you see, there's a Porsche on my left-hand side. That's Gian, who's only just going by right now. But it's quite even, to be honest with you, until we go to that 8th gear. But this 8th gear is so long, we can maintain that 280 miles an hour very nicely as we go onto the first banking. Then it's also a very stable car on the banking, this one. It really is. So you can maintain an inside line much better, which is why I chose this line as I go through there. Then we're going to go for the bump draft in here. And we got Luke Nadero on the left-hand side again. I did try and go through these each in turn, of course. as we continue now down the back straight. What's going to happen here then? And we're taking the right hand side there. We're outside that slipstream train right now. We've got more cars in that left hand side as we approach the final corner then. So we did lose out a little bit here, but we're still in the fight. Under half a second then to that race victory. Can the challenger do it is the question then as we go through here. A little bit of movement here. Nothing major from the cars up ahead. We're going to try and follow survey. Are we going to get on the inside of survey? No, we go for a bump draft there as we continue on through. Oh, survey just gets in that gap there. That was impressive. As we continue on then, so we've gained an advantage, huge advantage here. Oh, little tap there. Luke Nadero gets a bit of a bump draft, but then loses out because they bump draft unfazed here. As we head towards the line, it's looking like we're going to get P2. All said and done. Nice little bump from behind there. Can we get P1 even? Look at this. Towards the left-hand side. Very close indeed, but very competitive versus that Porsche 911 Turbo S then. So yeah, that was my order in a nutshell. Now we're going to go to the Porsche. Because I'd already done it on the weekly race guide, I wanted to do this one in VR just to experience it. Okay. Unfortunately, this race isn't going to go as planned like all of the others because we have some morons in this race. However, we start off, and in VR is very interesting this race because you do have to judge where cars are a bit more carefully in terms of placement. So I'm very much focused on that radar and that rear view mirror, which rear view mirror looks very bizarre in VR. Notice how it keeps changing in and out of graphical quality, should we say. So I've been bump drafting here, bump drafting Varg right now. It's all looking absolutely fine here. I think Marino is on our left-hand side. But as we go through here, somebody comes through there and then they hit me into the barrier. Now, initially, you can see me shake my head down. I thought, that's a bit annoying, really, but I wasn't that bothered about it initially until I watched the replay afterwards. Then I realised it was done on purpose. But we'll get to that point shortly. So we go into the banking here. We're seeing another death then. And at this point, I'm getting very dubious with what's happening right now because I kept up with the pack, which was nice, which is why the Porsche 911 is so strong. But I'm getting very dubious. The cars seem to be falling back here. There seems to be quite a bit of crashing going on. Wasn't sure exactly what was going on at this moment in time until we're about to come off the banking and then all will be revealed because then I start seeing behaviour where it's just not acceptable in a race at all. So before I started this race, by the way, there was people calling people dirty in the chat. So I assumed there was an accident or something. Here we go. The big accident there first of all. As we continue on, you can see more contact going on up ahead. You see people taking people out and just trying to be careful here as we continue on. And then we see some more takeouts going on then. Oh, somebody comes back there. I'm just trying to keep it nice and straight. I'm just trying to do my own race. Then Zal decides to hit the brakes, trying to brake check me here. So now I know what's going on here in this situation. I have to be very careful. And I can see that happening. So I know what's coming up here from Zal. I knew exactly what was going to come up. I knew that the second they turned towards me, they were going to hit the brake. So I went for avoiding action there. Again, this is absolute moronic driving. I found out that the actual team manager of my team, which is insane to say, you're meant to represent your team well. This is not representing your team well. Marino, being a Morano, should we call them? They were the ones that cheated in GTWS, for those that don't know, and caused Renault to drop so many positions, but you can check that out on GT Planet in terms of the article and other places as well. You can see the carnage that's ensuing. Most of this is GTS 92, and I have reported these drivers accordingly. Zal spears across my front then, and then to top it all off with this race, a 5-second penalty because they came across my front. So absolutely terrible driving. And yeah, that was the end of the race. I didn't have time for another race, but what I am going to do is go over some of my thoughts about that behavior. So after this race, I did do a post on Twitter. I went on the replay just to confirm what I believe was happening, and it was indeed. So Marino was slowing up, making sure they crashed into people. The GTS 92 guys were working with Marino basically to crash everybody else that was trying to go by. Not sure why Zal got involved in all of that. I don't know if he's friends with them or not. As I said, he is the team manager of the team, my team. So I find that insane, to be honest with you. Now, their reaction was very different on Twitter to GTS 92. They just went and did the immature thing of blaming people, started bullying other people as well. It's insane to me, to be honest with you. I have reported them, as I say, so they can do what they like. In terms of this, they've been doing it all evening, so it wasn't even just that race. They're doing it in other races as well. And their excuse was that SR is off, so it's basically a wreck fest. Now, the reason SR is off is because of the bump drafting issue, where if you bump draft so much, you can get a DR reset. It's not off so that you can have a wreck fest. Now, if you want a wreck fest, by all means have one. That's what private lobbies are for. We used to do them on GT Sport all the time. After the FIA, we'd host a wreck fest lobby and just crash into each other and have a bit of a laugh. You know, Will Springs firing off there. Absolutely not a problem. But the reason you're really doing this is because you just want to cause issues for other drivers in sport mode. Now, the other drivers in this race do not know that this is happening. So you can't say you're doing it for fun. Everyone's having fun. They're not having fun. You know, I had people in Discord afterwards, I won't name names in case then you start trying to bully them, etc., who also said it impacted their race. They went on and suddenly they were getting sideswiped and crashed into. Now, I sent those replays off as well. The behaviour is not acceptable. Now, if you represent an esports team, GTS 92 for example, because it was mainly those guys, you're not representing very well. And I do hope there is some action done there. Now, some of you will be going, yeah, but Tidge, it's just an oval race. Now, I think Hatter said something on Twitter like, well, it's just driving in a straight line. It's pretty boring. Why would people take it seriously? In America, for example, and it happens all over the world, but America mainly, they take it very seriously. It's called NASCAR, believe it or not, and people enjoy oval racing. Now, oval racing happens, once every 6 months in sport mode? So there are quite a few people who jump onto this race expecting a good race to use some of the strategies that they know with bump drafting, pulling out at the last second. This race could be better with nitrous. I'll happily accept that as well, because it brings more strategy in there. But they're here to race. They're not here to have a wreckfest. So what you're doing, effectively, is breaking the sport mode conduct, in a nutshell. You have private lobbies if you want to do something fun. You know, you have all sorts of different lobbies in there. Police and robbers, are they called nowadays? I don't even know what they're called, but, you know, you have people doing normal driving. You have, like, showrooms there where people just park up. And you can do wreckfests, as I said, but doing it in a sport mode race is just unacceptable. You may think it's acceptable. That's entirely your opinion, but it's not. Bearing in mind, sport mode specifically states that you shouldn't be doing any of this type of driving, and you clearly are. And you're just ruining other people's experiences. As I said on Twitter, imagine if somebody had just one race to do that night. Now, I actually only had one race to do that night. I'd gone away, I'd looked after the baby, I'd finished up my 10k steps. I thought, you know what, I'll have one final race in the Porsche just to have a go in VR. That was one race, my only chance to have that race. And you effectively ruined that race for me. And you go, oh, you're taking it so seriously. It's not taking it seriously. It's trying to have some fun. Have fun racing in VR, experience the race in a different aspect, and you're there ruining it for me and for other people who are trying to race. It's just unacceptable. It really is. So hopefully PD do something. I really do hope they do something, in all honesty. Whether they do or not, I don't know. For those going, Tidge, what's going to happen? I'm trying to push towards a reporting system. I said about I'm preparing something for them that I want to give to them that gives them an idea of how they could improve it in the future. I can do that next week because I'm off next week in terms of work. And we'll see where we go from there. I will keep pushing for this because for me, there needs to be some more action done to badly behaved drivers, in my opinion. And with it, I don't know if you noticed all that. I think Kimi was racing all that, and Kimi was clean as a whistle, I think, from what I saw. So, I mean, fair play to him. Unless he was his twin brother, I have no idea. I don't know if he has a twin or not. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video, folks. I do hope you have enjoyed it and do get some knowledge from this in terms of what is the best car currently this week for Daily Race A. If you have enjoyed this video, as always, give it a like, subscribe to the channel to stay in touch with all the latest content. But that is going to be it for me now, folks. As I said, I do hope you enjoyed it. Do check out my partners down below. We've got Fanatec, we've got GT Amiga, and Coach Dave Academy. They are all brilliant partners, and that is why I'm partnered with them. Big thank you for watching as always, and I hope to see you in another video or live stream again very soon.